Hello everyone, my name is Faith here at Patrick and Rain CPAs. Today we're doing a mini video segment on the executive orders from August 8th and what we know now. Presenting today we have Mark Patrick, lead partner at the firm, who's going to answer some questions about the information and the regulations that we have as of right now and answer as many questions as we possibly can for the moment. The first executive order is the Memorandum on Continued Student Loan Payment Relief during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Right, thank you, Faith. As you probably know, there were 4 executive orders signed on the 8th of August, and they have a myriad of different effects, some of which he had full authority, the president had full authority to do. Some will require some other actions on other parts of the government. And all of these are going to require some departmental regulations in order to implement them, but nevertheless, so they'll be moving forward. In this particular one, the extension of student loan relief is fundamentally what we had before that was done under the CARES Act, and allows the president to waive all interest accrual, basically making the interest zero till the end of the year and requiring no payments until the end of the year. You can still make payments if you want to, but there's no requirements. And if you have an employer that's doing a garnishment, they're supposed to stop doing that as well. Again, this has to be done by a regulatory authority by the government body, but that'll be coming soon, we expect.
And we have the executive order on fighting the spread of COVID-19 by providing assistance to renters and homeowners.
Again, this is an effort to extend something that we had out of the CARES Act, and that is to prevent any federal subsidy rental facility for any tenant that's in a subsidized federal government subsidized property. They cannot be evicted during this time, and anyone who is living in a residential property that is financed by a government mortgage, whether that is your own FHA, VA type of mortgage, or if it is a larger entity that's financed by one of those government agencies, you're not allowed to be evicted. This is a suggestion to the department, to the governing department, in order to do this, but we feel like it will probably be executed.
We have the Memorandum on Authorizing the Other Needs Assistance Program for Major Disaster Declarations related to the Coronavirus Disease 2019.
So back in the spring, there was a substantial amount of money set aside for disaster declarations, and many of those dollars have not been spent. So the president is authorizing $300 a week in unemployment coming from the federal government to extend or replace the $600 that had just expired a couple of weeks ago. This initially was requiring the state to contribute $100 out of their funds and $300 in the federal government's part. Since then, they have changed that so that it only requires that the federal provide the $300. The state may participate or not. The state will still administer it, and some states are going to react quicker than others. Currently, only one state is doing that, but over half of the states have indicated they are going to do that. So this will be coming in the very near future, within weeks probably.
Right, and we have the big one, the Memorandum on Deferring Payroll Tax Obligations in light of the ongoing COVID-19 disaster.
That's correct. There's quite a number of things in this one. It's all related essentially to the deferral of payroll taxes, but there's quite a few rules involved with this, and we're waiting on IRS guidance on that, but we'll work through the details here.
So how much payroll tax is being deferred?
This is only the Social Security or FICA tax for the employee. The Medicare tax will not be deferred, and it allows the employer to not withhold the FICA tax beginning September 1st, any paydays from September 1st through the end of the year. And that money will then be due next year. At this point, it would be due on the first day of the year, but there's expected to be rules that may spread that out further.
What is the income limit for the deferral?
The rule that was put in the executive order is a threshold. Anyone making $4,000 or less on a bi-weekly basis. Would have been easier to say $2,000 on a weekly basis for this period from September 1st till the end of the year. We're not clear whether that's going to be on an average or on a payday by payday or whatever, but it's the equivalent of $2,000 per week for whatever pay cycle that you normally get. Any amount over that would still have the FICA tax withheld.
Can someone choose to opt out of the deferral?
Yes, the employer may opt out of collecting the tax, and that's a very good suggestion on our part at this point, because the employer under other laws is required to pay the taxes whether they withhold them or not. So they could end up being liable for it, for the employee not paying it back in the future. So there's some concern on the employer's side. The employee can also opt out if the employer chooses to defer the tax. The employee may be concerned about paying a lump sum later and may go ahead and opt out of that employer's decision and have the taxes withheld going forward as if they had not had a deferral.
Kind of going back to what you said just a second ago, but is the employer really responsible for the taxes due on January 1st?
Yes, the employer will be responsible whenever the IRS determines it is due, and that's yet to be determined. But the employer will be responsible for paying those taxes. There will be some rules as to how to recover those from the employees, but you can see the logistical problem of some employee that you've not withheld taxes for, and on January 1st, they're no longer an employee, so you don't have the opportunity to collect the tax that's due that has been deferred. So there's a lot of questions about how this actually is going to be implemented, but it's very short. September 1st is supposed to be the effective date, but we're recommending the employers not take any action in terms of deferring tax until they know what the rules are, because they may end up with a liability that they'll not have a way to recover.
And what can you do to receive the deferral if you would like the deferral and your employer is not offering it?
You don't have an option. The employee cannot drive the employer into doing it. So if the employer decides that they do not want to participate, the employee is kind of out of luck.
And a disclaimer to cap this off that this is not meant for legal, accounting, or tax advice. This information is for educational and general information purposes only. If you have any more questions, you can contact Patrick and Rains, or you can contact Mark. He's the lead partner at the firm once again. We have our firm phone number, 904-396-5400, and then Mark's email to contact him directly. Thank you so much for watching our video today, and we look forward to making more content to be as helpful as we can in the future.